seeming like I'm headed for. Oh, she may be cute, she's a substitute, 'cause you're the permanent one. So take a good look at my face. You see the spine looks out of place. Look closer, closer, it's easy to trace the tracks of my teeth. I need you, need you, need you.
We got Dan, we got Mike. Mikey Dermont's popping in for a little pre-show chat.
Hey.
Hey, Mike.
What
How
an
you doing?
event, man. Oh,
Did a
Gentlemen,
great job
Jim-
yesterday.
Hey, sorry, I'm actually in the car right now.
oh.
This is Mobile Mikey calling in for the podcast.
Oh, I feel like Knight Rider or something here. We got a dispatch him.
Well, I'm being chauffeured by my lovely assistant,
Oh, hey.
Wait, who's that?
Deborah the driver.
Hey, hi. Hey,
Oh,
hi.
is that Deborah?
Deborah the driver.
Oh, yeah.
Lucky-
Deborah, the driver.
You look familiar.
I know. I think I just saw you like the other day. You know, like yesterday.
But this is like eye level. Before she had to look up. It was like
Yeah.
a telephone. Man.
Yeah, you're a tall guy.
Yeah, you're a tall guy.
I take up space.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm trying to get the lighting right here. It's kind of difficult.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect, Mike. We got
No,
Bongo
we-
Mike. We got Bongo Mike just showing up, and then we got
Right.
Superfan Dan, who I said, hey, pop on the show a little bit earlier to say hello. Met him at Sundance at the Coterie, having a soda pop, and I said, why don't you come on and give us the fans' point of view? Dan, say hello.
Hey, guys, you did a great job. So blessed to be a part of your shindig yesterday. That was so awesome, man. Had us all
Dan, we
doing-
love having you out there, brother. We love having you there, man. I don't think you've missed a Coterie.
I have not. Maybe one, but because of an illness. But I love your events. It's something we all look forward to every year.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Mike. Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
brother.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike.
What's up, Dan?
Good seeing you guys. You guys made my weekend yesterday. It was so fun. I really
I
appreciate everything you all do.
So,
You're
so
all-
Dan, you are. It's not your first Coterie, then. You are
No.
a loyal fan.
Yeah, they started them at the I believe at the Broken Oar, and then moved to Sundance, and then back to the Oar, and then back to Sundance. And it's a lot of fun because you get to see so much great talent. A lot of the men and women you don't get to see that often, but Mike Hansen or Mike Dermott pulls these people together, and it's such a joy.
Jesus,
Really
we got 3
appreciate it.
mics on this show.
You know, Pete, Pete, what's your middle
check
name?
1, 2, 3.
What's your middle
Mike check 1, 2, 3.
Peter. You are hereby dubbed Peter Michael.
So Brian Esquire, I don't know, the guy Brian with 3 names. He's trying to figure out how to log in, and he may or may not show up. Just like anybody that can't get entry to the club. But we'll see. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say once again, these guys, Dan and Brian, these guys are ultimate music supporters. I see them at so many shows, and they're always out there having a good time. And it's great when they. Hey, there's Brian. There he is.
There he is, and
Nice.
he can bust a move.
Yes.
Brian
That's awesome.
He's at like every show.
I
Every show
think-
that I'm at.
I think Brian is at every show. I mean, there's probably multiple Brians. He's cloned himself so he can go to every event. It's like Dancing Sue. Sue's out at every show. I don't know how she does it. Seriously,
Yeah.
I mean, she probably goes to 15 shows in one day. I was going to ask Dan. Dan, you've been to quite a few of the Coterie shows. So has Brian. When you
Mhm.
come to shows, are you exposed to musicians that you've never seen before, because that's one of the things that we're really trying to achieve also, right? Because we've got so many great musicians playing in the city of throughout Illinois, right? It's hard to be at all these places at once. Are you being
Correct.
exposed to musicians?
Oh yeah, I love seeing Jerome and the girl from Libido Funk Circus and that guy Wally.
Desiree, Wally,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh wow, Wally was Smokey Robinson's twin yesterday.
So that was your first time seeing those three that you mentioned, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Fantastic. Mission
And I love
accomplished.
it. Same thing when the Pat Travers thing. You had a lot of musicians there, and then Poison Crew Susan's thing. That was a lot of fun too. You guys.
You are a super fan, brother. Those aren't even all Coterie events, and you're there, man. That's amazing.
I just love live music, guys. I love the local
God bless
scene.
you.
Hey, Brian Kaiser, you're missing a name in there. Let me help
It's,
you
it's
out.
Brian
His
Billham,
microphone's off.
as if we need more mics in this damn room.
Sorry, get a piece of paper and write your
Hey,
question.
he's on.
There he is, Brian Kaiser.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian, how are you, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you so much. Yeah, what I was saying, I look things up a lot. Like Mike Arfanos and I like this band, the Fuse Band, and I found out about them by reading about them, and they're amazing, like everybody else in Illinois.
Right.
All of them are great.
So, Brian, what I love about when you come to the shows, man, you are right up there on the stage. You're dancing to every song. I have to tell you, as a musician, a performer, we love to see that. Getting
Thank
people up
you.
and dancing. That feeds the energy, and the more energy you guys give, the more we send back.
Well,
Thank
you guys give it to me too.
Thank you.
It does it for me big time. The adrenaline starts going, and it's
Yeah.
just having a great time.
Oh,
Hey, did you got a pick, right? I gave you a pick last night, didn't
Yes, you did. Thank you
And-
very much for that.
Got it, man. You got it.
Brian, how many shows you go to in a month, brother?
Well, I'm married. My wife lets me go once a week to see something because she knows how much I love music.
Bring your wife, man.
She's not a big music person, and I probably wouldn't want to leave in an hour.
Fair enough. Like I said, wife at home.
Yeah. We do other things together. That's right.
Well, let's keep that at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny. I saw Brian, I saw Dan. I don't know who the hell I saw. Towards the second half of the show, I got a couple soda pops. I found a stool, sat at the bar, checked out the show, and talking to the fans. And there were so many people in there. Guys, I probably invited everybody. So we will have, Beth, you got your work cut out for you there.
So, Pete, this was your first Coterie event as well, correct?
It was. What
did
a
you think,
show.
my
Holy
friend?
crap.
Yeah.
You're going to outgrow that place, man.
People were talking about that. It's I hope not. It's great to see it grow, but it's those cozy places that make this thing, make it what it is. Someone was joking and said, "Hey, you should get to the Allstate," which probably will never happen. And I'm like, well, maybe
Why not?
Des Plaines or the Arcata, but you lose that, when people start to sit down, right? You're sitting in a theater, you lose that vibe. You don't have the Bryans up there dancing, everyone's kind of sitting back, and it reminds me of those, the shows back in the 50s and 60s when people just sit there and clap in their chair. I don't want that. I want them up there dancing. So
I agree.
Well, if
Yeah.
you have 4,000 people show up at a 2,500 seat venue, that's cozy.
yeah, I guess I'm not gonna. Who am I bullshitting, man?
The line was out the door yesterday.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome.
No, great.
Well,
Mikey, Bongo Mike, how's your hands? You okay, man?
I'm really sore.
Really?
I'm like, I got locked shoulder.
Poor Pete, man. I felt so bad
You're
for you.
okay.
I'm
So
like, yeah,
I was
I
counting.
got you,
I think there was 4 songs I wasn't on. And it was just, I was up there. I'm like, someone's got to do the shakers. Someone's got to do this. So I just stayed up there. But yeah, I was on a lot of stuff yesterday.
It was a big help,
Wait.
man.
Yeah,
I-
definitely.
Well, dude, let me just say, it's an absolute honor to be able to play with Mike Hansen. That doesn't happen very often. And that was awesome to get in and sit
Thanks,
on
bud.
those songs with you.
He's
Thanks,
the
man.
human pocket, man. That guy's got the best backbeat vibe going on,
Rock solid, man.
Yep. Yep.
Beth, checking in before the show starts. How you doing? How's your shoulder? You're carrying around that bucket, had over a G in it. Beth, how you doing, man? How's that shoulder, man? That bucket. Oh, Winter Wonderland.
Wow,
Sleigh bells ring. Are you listening?
that's a pretty look.
Broken Oar.
Is
It's,
our-
That
it's
looks pretty.
absolutely, it's so amazing here, you guys. It's so amazing.
Don't look
Holy
at the camera.
crap.
Keep your eyes on the road.
And your hands on the wheel.
Just get
Trip over that stool.
Backward.
What's that?
So bad at walking backwards.
I know, it's pretty awesome. Are you skating? You should be ice skating in there.
She's moonwalking. Where's Minsky at? Yeah, Bonnie.
I still can't get her to run for president, but
Hi.
There she is. Say hi to Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
Bonnie.
Hey,
Bonnie, great
Hi.
place.
just relaxing in the road. Well, that's a little
Congratulations on the award.
Debbie says
Congratulations on the award.
Thank you so much. We were very surprised, so it was quite an honor. I'm still in La La Land over it. It was really a nice surprise.
For a
I
large
never
business,
considered us
too.
to be a big business or a large business. So when they said it was an outstanding large business, I'm like, we're large? And they're like, yes, you are. I'm like, okay, we'll take it.
charge.
Taxes, baby.
Bonnie, it looks like you've got your snow camouflage in, man. All we can see is your blue eyes and your white teeth.
I am. I don't want anybody to see me.
Oh.
Bonnie, we're kind of sore from yesterday. You know, it was kind of a long day yesterday, and you
I
know,
bet.
no better way to recover than have Mike Hansen from Kreative Minds come on the show
Hey, guys.
with us today. And
Hi, Mike.
Hey, how are you? to see
Good.
you. Congratulations as well.
Thank you.
That's a cool thing to get, man.
It was very cool. We're very,
Yeah.
very honored.
Yeah,
I know
man.
I know we have a lot to cover, and I don't know how long Bonnie's going to be staying on here, but I do want to do a quick plug for the Broken Oar. We have an event coming up on February 16th, correct, Bonnie? February
Correct.
16th? February 16th, it's a celebration of life for our good friend Gordy, who passed away about a month ago. We're going to have a bunch of musicians from the Chicagoland area, from the local area, coming out and doing a couple acoustic songs. It's going to be a great afternoon. I hope we can get a lot of folks out there. Broken Oar, the 16th of February, 2 o'clock, correct, Bonnie?
Yes.
And
Awesome.
she's been booking bands like crazy, you guys. Just wait till you see what she's got coming up.
like
And only
what?
250 more to go. That's it.
Piece of cake. Well, and we're opening the barn back up on February 7th. So I just looked at my calendar and am shocked to see how quickly that's coming up. But we'll be back in the barn with full band starting on the 7th of February. So very exciting, and I don't ever expect to stop. We're going to have that open year round after that.
Yeah.
What bands, Bonnie?
Boy, I
Pete,
should.
throw it up on the screen
Yeah,
for us.
we'll
I'm
make
putting
her
it
do the
right
work. Throw
there.
it up.
Okay, got it.
Nah.
Bonnie, quick question. Where does all that tinsel go?
Well, we we have storage trailers. We're actually probably going to end up getting between Halloween, St. Patrick's, and our Arctic bar. We end up getting larger and larger decorations every year. So we're in one full mobile home trailer, and we're going to be branching off on that. So it's a lot.
It looks great. Don't get a sliver
Yeah.
cut from that tinsel. I mean, those will kill you. Beth,
Thanks
thank
for having
you.
us on, guys. All right, have a good show. Thanks.
Bonnie, thank you.
Yes.
Always a pleasure.
And don't forget,
You
contact
guys-
me for bookings. Thank you to everyone who has booked so far.
How do they contact you?
They can the best way to do it is to text me at 708-287-3692. And I'll get right back to them.
Give that number one more time.
One more
Everybody who's
time.
booked. 708-287-3692. 708-287-3692.
Be back.
I've been
later.
sending you a bunch too, because
Yeah, I know. You guys,
they'll come to me and then they'll ask, and then I say just get in touch with Beth. She's got the calendar. She'll get you in there.
yeah, you guys are knocking it out of the park. You keep them coming, and I'll keep swinging.
Done and done.
Or if I'm having a beer, I just say, hey, show up today. Right, Brian and Dan?
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go.
It was
Happy
such an
to
honor
be
to
here.
meet Brian and Dan and all those guys yesterday. Pete, all those guys you introduced me to, the true super fans. Awesome guys.
So many good peeps. So many good peeps.
Oh
Nice
yeah.
to meet you too.
Awesome
All right,
guys.
Mike Hansen, he's getting antsy there. Who wants to intro Mike? Who knows him
I'm
though?
not antsy. I'm dancing, Mike Hansen.
This is Mikey Dermott.
Oh, I'm back. I had
There
to
it is.
I had to
Boom.
move
Oh,
back
look
in.
at that. There he is.
Look at that.
Can I stay on my phone? Can you guys see me okay?
Yeah, you look
Yeah.
great, Mike. You look great. Now,
Mike Hansen.
3 mics.
We do 3 mics. So how
Mic
do we
check.
introduce Mike
Literally
Hansen?
powering
Mic
up
check,
to get
mic
out of
check.
this. I don't know how the fuck to get out of it.
Who's going to introduce Mikey Hansen? Mikey H.
You know
Yeah,
what,
Mike
Michael
Hansen.
Hansen, man. Well, I'll go ahead and do it. So, Mike, how long have I known you, buddy? Maybe 4 years now.
4 years now.
4
Yeah.
years now, and it's funny because Mike Hansen and I, we grew up kind of in the same area, out in the Fox River Valley, right? Mike, you're from Algonquin Carpentersville area,
Right. Yeah.
and I grew up in Crystal Lake. And funny enough, though, coming up, we didn't know each other, although Mike knew Tavo Paul very well. They went to high school together. Mike, when he graduated, moved out to LA and became a rock star. But circumstances, you were out in LA, you were out in Vegas, circumstances in life changed and brought you back home, and you and I hooked up. I think we had an instant connection, man.
Yeah.
I like to say not just the music, but the kindred souls, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Mikey's a
Absolutely.
great guy. And, we've been doing a few things together, not only the Coterie, we mess around with some other musical things. And we've just grown a great friendship over the last 3 to 4 years. And anytime that I have a project I'm working on, Mike is one of the first guys to stand up and say, let me know what I can do to help. And that's not necessarily just playing the drums. He comes with a lot of experience and he gives me a lot of coaching and mentoring on how to pull off successful events like we did yesterday with Motown Coterie. In fact, it was Mike who was, I want to say, the architect of really putting the musicians together, told me what I really should look for when we're doing this, because it's a completely different style of music, man.
Yeah.
So
What did
You know,
he
it's-
tell
I'm-
you?
what did he tell me? Stay away from guys like Dermott. You don't want those screaming rockers, man. You want singers that have soul. You want bass players that have that low end thunder. Drummers that can just sit back and carry the weight, man. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what we did. And that's not a slight on anybody that we've worked with in the past. There's so many phenomenal musicians out there. But again, because the style of music we're playing, we really wanted to be a little more focused on that style of music. And Mike was instrumental in making that happen. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to announce Mr. Michael J. Hansen. No idea what the J stands for.
Hey, man. Good to see you guys here. Thanks for having me on. It's great to be here. And yeah, man, everybody pretty much here I seen last night. So it was such a great an event, man. Wow, what a turnout. That's
really
probably
was.
the biggest one I think you've had, man.
It's definitely up there. We do really well at the Sundance. We did one about a year ago, I think it was, maybe 2 years ago. It was a tremendous blizzard we had. I mean, it was terrible. We almost canceled the show. I think we got like 6 feet of snow that day in total, but we still put like 350 people in that room. It's just
Oh,
amazing.
wow.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
love
It was still packed.
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, I used to play that club when it was Sundance back in the early 80s. I used to play there with my dad's band. When it
Wow.
was like a Mickey Gillies. Yeah, it was like a Gillies place, It had the big bowl in there and all the line dancing. I was like 14 years old playing that club. It hasn't really changed much.
You're kind of like an
Big
urban
stage.
cowboy, huh?
Yeah, well, when I lived here back then, there was nothing out there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Out there in Mundelein, there was nothing. I mean, that was like one bar and then miles and miles before you came to anything else,
Well, yeah, it was
That place,
Mundelein
man.
and then Kenosha. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
But they had all those line dancings down there, and I had my dad's band, we played all the country western, so I played all the country stuff with him at that time. So when I told Bobby about the story about me playing there, he was just like tripping out. He goes, "Wow, you played here?" I go, "Dude, I played here. You guys weren't even allowed to be in here when I was in here."
Did they have like the chicken wire in front of the stage when they throw beer bottles at you? They break before they hit you.
It wasn't a rough club, but I get your point.
The good old Blues Brothers boys.
Country
Rawhide.
and Western.
Yeah, Listen, man, we'll save it for another show, but I have parking lot stories of that place. Yeah.
Parking lots and bowls.
Yeah,
Okay,
on the
we got
15-minute breaks, you know? So, yeah.
So
Anyway.
where did Creative Minds come from?
Actually, for me, you know, so what happened was, you know, I tour for a living, you know, I tour nationally, as we know, and
I don't know. Who do you tour with? Like,
well, I tour with a lot of different people. You know, I'm not just stationed to one artist. You know, I play with a few people. So you know, I've been in Hurricane from the 80s forever. So, you know, I've been in that band 13 years, probably the longest drummer in that band, because there's been a few drummers in it. But Sarzo and Cavazo were the originators of that band. And, you know, things have changed since then. We put a record out last year, the new Hurricane record, and we've got Dan Schumann on vocals, who took, you know, Kelly Hansen's place, who sings with Foreigner, as we all know. And, you know, Dan's from Australia, you know, sings everything in the original keys of the old catalog. I mean, he's really an amazing talent. And then now we've kind of furthered along, and we've got Carlos Cavazo, which is Tony's brother, who everybody kind of knows who Carlos is, who was the founding member of Quiet Riot, you know, with Kevin DuBrow, and wrote all the big songs. So Tony's brother is the bass player in Hurricane. So now we all play together. So when we go out and play, it's pretty much, you know, the history of the Cavazo brothers, really, because it's Hurricane and Quiet Riot stuff that we pull off in our shows now. And we'll be doing the Monsters of Rock on March 10th through the 15th. We'll be on there with Tesla and, you know, like 40 bands. So we got that going on. But then, so I tour with that. And then just last year, guitar players would know more, but have you ever heard of Albert Lee, the guitar player? So I just did a big stint with Albert, you know, and some of the guys from Bruce Hornsby's band. We just did a big run, 5-week run, and which brought me to the end of the year last year. And then and I finished out with Davey Knowles, who Davey I've known since he was 18 years old. And you know, he's 37 now, and he's from a country called Isle of Man, which is between England and Ireland. It's you know, and it's more the home of like the Rory Gallagher kind of guys. You know, when we were dealing with Hendrix, you know, they were looking at Rory Gallagher, you know, as a guitar idol. So anyways, he lives here in Chicago, just kind of fast forwarding a little bit. But I met him in Los Angeles through Eddie Kramer, and Eddie Kramer produced, you know, the Beatles, and produced, you know, all the Jimi Hendrix records and stuff like that. And, you know, he called me one day and he goes, "Hey, mate," he goes, "you know, I got this kid here. He's this young kid. He's 19 years old, and he's this prodigy, you know." And I go, "Eddie, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, I'm going to do a spec record, and you should come down, and I think you'd be a right fit for him." So I came down, and we went to Sheryl Crow's studio, and she had a lockout that, you know, Eddie had good ins on. And so we went there and we just did our thing. And the rest of it, we've been friends ever since. But long circling, you know, I lived in LA for 36 years, you know, and I'm just now back in Chicago for 4 years now. But I was born and raised here. And, you know, it's interesting because he moved here and he got married to a Chicago girl. So he's living here now for the last 10 years. So now I joined forces with Davey, and, you know, Davey's, you know, been written up by Eric Clapton, and toured with Jeff Beck. And, you know, Joe Bonamassa just put our songs on his playlist on this new record we just came out with just a few months ago. We hit the first week, we hit #1 on the blues rock charts. So the album took #4 on that. And, you know, we're looking for a big, you know, this summer going to do arena tours with Davey. You know, we might be looking at going out with like the Government Mule, something like that, Blackberry Smoke, maybe, who knows, something like that, you know. So we got that kind of coming towards us, you know. But Warren Haynes is really tight with us, and we've toured with the Mule before. And, you know, that might be a cool one. That's something you want to check out if we come to Chicago. You want to come see Government Mule with us, you know.
Put us on the list, Mike.
You know,
Dude, I love Government Mule. I've seen him
Right?
a bunch of times. I'm a huge Government Mule fan.
Mike, if you
Yeah.
need if you need another warming act, I can throw something together for you for a couple
Right.
shows. I know a few guys.
Yeah,
If
so
you
I
need
mean,
somebody to carry your snare, I'll do that.
yeah, well, I got enough equipment, so, you know, everybody gets something.
Yeah, that's right.
And I can bring 10 of my best friends.
You know, and if you've seen the size of Pete, he'd be happy to be your, you know, personal bodyguard.
Exactly. We can put you on that one.
I'll
And
just
then we'll
fall
be
on
fine.
him.
Yeah, we'll get you going. But yeah, no,
Pete
so,
the
you know,
oak tree.
I tour with all them, and then, you know, what brings us up to the Creative Minds thing is, you know, all these bands that I perform with and travel, and obviously there's more that's going on in my life right now, just not those bands. But, you know, Creative Minds is an outlet for me. You know, it's something that I wanted to do in town here. Since I moved back, you know, I was like, oh, I didn't know what the hell I was going to do when I came here. I didn't know hardly anybody here. Had a couple childhood friends. That was about it. And I didn't know anybody, you know, and I got here about 5 months before COVID hit. And my pops got sick. That's what brought me back. You know, he ended up passing away a couple of years ago from bladder cancer. But my dad was a great guitar player as well. You know, he played with people like Barbara Mandrell and Rascal Flatts and stuff like that. So we were able to record and I got things actually on iTunes and, you know, Spotify that I did with him that I actually put out before he passed. I told him I'd get something out to the universe for him. So I did. And so passing forward, then I'm thinking, shit, man, I need to like find something to do here, you know, and all these guys I play with, you know, all these national guys, I've asked everybody if they know anybody in this town. And they're like, you know, man, I don't know. I even George Lynch, Steve Vai, I've asked everybody. And they're like, no, I don't know anybody. You know, my nephew owns a restaurant in Naperville, you know, called Vais. You know, that's about as far as I got. And but no, dude, it's really weird. The Chicago scene is a completely like different bubble, you know, and it's amazing how many how many LA people don't know, you know, including guys like Bob Ezrin, man. I mean, I had lunch with Bob Ezrin, you know, a couple months ago, you know, who produced Alice Cooper and, you know, Pink Floyd and all that. And I go, dude, do you know anybody in Chicago? He goes, no, but you're in the great city. And that's where I got my start. That's what he said to me. And he's like, you know, but you'll get there. You just got to just kind of soul search it. But, you know, obviously he's an older guy that, you know, that probably hasn't done much here since in a while, but going by what he knows, you know, but I haven't really found all the pockets here. I know there's more here in Chicago than I know. And I'm gonna figure it out because that's what I did in Los Angeles. I was in every scene in LA. I wasn't just in the 80s scene. You know, I played in one of the biggest jazz clubs for 2 years as the house drummer with some of the guys from John Mayall and, you know, and Eddie, you know, and of course Albert Lee's band, which I play with, and some of the guys from Steve Miller's band. And, you know, it was like a hot band, you know. But anyhow, I had some really cool gigs and, you know, and it's kind of what's happening here. I'm getting in these little pockets here. And so I decided, hey, you know, as getting to know all these people out here, I kind of just soul searched a little bit. And I'm like, I got to find some good dudes that got the vibe that I'm looking for. So I found the Oliveira brothers and Dougalicious. And you know, Doug and yeah, Dougalicious, man. That's what we call him. That's his name, Dougalicious. So he was been writing with me for about a year now. So we already got to kind of know each other, you know, in a good way. And so I kind of rubbed it past him. I said, listen, man, you know, I'm thinking about putting a band together. You know, if you're interested, you know, I'd like you to be the guitar player if you're interested in it, and we'll just vibe it out and see how it goes. So then finally I pushed the green light on it, and I finally, you know, had a meeting with all of them and kind of told them what my needs and wants are in town. And I just said, look, you know, when I'm not, you know, I was very straight with them. I don't want anybody to ever think too much or whatever. So I just said, listen, when I'm in town, this band works. You know, when I'm out of town, then I'm out of town, you know, and you guys just do whatever, right? And so they all agreed on it. And I said, you know, in the catalog, I said, I don't want to do what everybody's doing in this town. You know, I want to do things that I did in Los Angeles that, you know, that worked for me in LA that might work here as well. As maybe you guys, you know, let's play some really challenging material. Let's just don't play just regular catalog. Let's kind of dive into it a little bit, just be a little bit more creative. So that's where the Kreative Minds name came up. And you know, I brought it to Mike Oliveira because he's an amazing artist, you know. And I said, look, man, why don't we just reverse the K and make the I all the way through the two words, you handle the rest. So he did. He came back and he came up with the logo like that. And then, you know, the harmonies we've been working hard on and, you know, just adding more songs. And, you know, we're kind of new, so nobody really knows us yet. So, you know, we really want to focus on more breweries and wineries, you know, private parties, corporate stuff, not really into the bar scene too much. But we thought that, you know, just to launch the band, just to let everybody kind of get a little tickle of us to play the Sundance, you know, a couple of times we did. And it was nice of Bobby to do it and, you know, and make a big deal about it. It was kind of an inaugural kind of a thing of our first debut a few weeks back, you know, and then we're going to be there again on February 9th. We're going to be there from 2 to 5 in the afternoon in the little room. And it's just going to be us. So it's going to be our show completely. So, you know, you guys are definitely welcome to come to that. And, you know, we got that coming up. But that's why I put the band together. I just want to stay busy while I'm in town. I always was in LA. There wasn't a day that I didn't play my drums, you know. I mean, I was always it was a heavy working town at one time. And not to say that it's like that way anymore. It's not, because I do a lot of traveling, and a lot of people moved away. They're not even living in LA anymore. It's not really that town that it used to be that everybody kind of has in their head anymore. It's a new chapter for Los Angeles, especially with these fires that just happened. I have 3 friends that lost their homes.
Wow.
I got to figure out what to do to try to help in Chicago, to help these people, and they're struggling musicians, that only have pretty much with week to week paychecks, and they lost everything, like the homes that their parents had, and then now they're gone, and all the insurance companies backed out, so these people have nothing. So I got that kind of over my head. I got guys in my band still that live in LA, and so I always worry about them and stuff like that as well. But everybody's okay, except some people have lost their investments, but they're humanly okay, and they have a lot of friends, and like how the Chicago people pull together here, they're doing that out there. Everybody's it's a very divided city. I don't know if you know that, but it can be very divided sometimes. And Chicago, I haven't seen that. I got to be honest with you. I tell people when I go to LA, I go, people are nicer in Chicago. They really are, man. I mean, people out here still hold the door for you. You sit down at a bar stool and they turn and say hi and they greet you. That's the way it used to be back in the day in LA. But it's to the point. I mean, you go eat somewhere, people won't even, they got their blinders on and they're just like, they're not even paying attention. They won't even to see who is sitting next to them to be observant in their own territory. You would think, right? Don't hold the door open. They just let it slam in your face. I mean, it's kind of very self-absorbed town, and I'll say that with confidence because I lived there for 36 years and I have the right to say that.
Is
So,
is the whiskey overrated?
No. Mike Magliari is a very, very good friend of mine, the whole family that owned the Rainbow and the whiskey. And what I haven't told you guys is, some of you guys know me, but I was also a high-end painting contractor in Los Angeles. I just didn't play music because there's no way in hell that I would be able to make a living just playing music. Even at some of the caliber of artists I've played with, it doesn't matter, man. It's just, it's an expensive town, and sometimes it takes 2 incomes to have a home, and when I had a pretty successful construction company. I was a high-end finisher, for like a lacquers and stains and like Venetian plasters and all that stuff. And I had 15 employees for 25 years, and I catered to only celebrities. So my home value was between $5 million and $50 million homes. That's where I worked. The cheapest home I worked in was $5 million. So I was doing like Aaron Spelling's house, Oprah's home. I did the Magliari's on the Whiskey and the Rainbow, which I painted, which leads up. I restored and historically redid the Whisky A Go Go on the outside, and I was awarded a Walk of Fame award, believe it or not.
What?
And I've got one for doing the architectural redesign.
Send me a picture of that.
The Whisky A Go Go is probably the most famous nightclub in the whole world. And that's pretty cool. You could go anywhere, Europe, Japan, anywhere overseas, and you say the Whisky A Go Go in Los Angeles, California, and everybody knows that club. I wanted to bring a balance into it. I wanted to bring 2 dimensions into it, for one. The second thing I wanted to do was making sure that I brought out all the little features that were lost for years in the building.
All the past architecture work has kind of been lost in, just covering up with old paint. So now that we have Mike Hansen in here, he actually brought out a lot of the, old architecture that was part of this building's history.
So we went in there with artist brushes, and we artist brushed all the details behind after we had already sprayed the platinum and made it so it came out 2-dimensional.
I think the borders really make the building stick out a lot, and we added lights to light up all the new paint, so it just gives it a good, fresh, new look, but still that old school style.
I wanted Los Angeles, the city, and the people around to really appreciate it and enjoy what they're seeing. I wanted the building to be the nicest looking building on Sunset.
Yeah, I said you better fact
right here.
Check this out. Michael just sent me something. Hold on a second. Let me get it. It's right here.
And then while Mikey's up, we still have Superfans Brian and Dan around. We're trying this new little segment here. If you guys have a question you want to ask, feel free.
Raise your hand though, because I know there'll be a lot of questions coming in from the field.
The field.
You see this shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the front of it, and this is the back of it. And I'll explain what this is. Nice.
Yeah.
So my buddy, Lawrence Gartell, who is the pioneer in the basically invented digital artistry, like all the programs and how to do digital art. His name is Lawrence Gartell. Look him up. He's up there with like Andy Warhol. So he's a really good friend of mine. He lives in Florida. So I was walking my area here in the summer, and he's like, "Hey man, I'd really like to do something with the whiskey someday." I go, "Really, man?" I said, "I could probably make that happen." So he's like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, I'd like to do like their next, like maybe some of their artwork for the new shirt." So I call Michael, and he's like, "Dude, that is so weird that you're calling me right now." He goes, "I was just getting on the phone with my art guy to do some new catalog merchandise here." And I go, "Well, dude, just hold off a minute, because let me tell you about this guy." So Lawrence Gartell, I said, dude, this guy's like the pioneer of digital creation. That's what he's known for. So I put him together, boom, and that's his shirt, man. He came out with like a special edition Whisky A Go Go shirt, and they just sent it to me last week. I just got it. So it's not even out yet. Anyways,
Awesome.
That's the Whisky A Go Go.
That's awesome.
And it's very haunted, by the way. It's a haunted building.
Yeah, what's it like in there?
It's a 2-story. It's got a big stage that probably is about 5 feet high. So it comes up to be, like your waistline, but me would be my neck. So, but I mean, there's not one band, I don't think, in the world that has never played there. And I used to hear stories that Michael used to tell me about how, like, when Chicago, the band got together and migrated out to the West Coast, that they made that band a house band that played there 6 nights a week. And Chicago Transit Authority played there 6 nights a week, man, as a house band at the Whisky A Go Go for like many years. And it was pretty amazing that they did all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, the history, I don't know, man. It's just to share that stage, knowing that John Bonham played that stage, and
The Doors.
I mean, every name you could think of, anybody that you would say. I mean, I'm including like Engelbert Humperdinck, man. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like everybody has played that damn stage. It's in the Rock Hall of Fame as it was awarded the most famous rock club in the world. So there's my story about the whiskey. And yeah, I was working there one day when I was doing the finishing on the outside, and I had to go in and turn the alarm off. And it was 7 a.m. in the morning, and the guys are all outside waiting for me. And I go, "Let me go in." So when you go in, you have to go into the front of the side of this lowdown where the stage is. Then you got to go all the way to the back and go all the way up these stairs, all the way to the top to turn the alarm off, dude. It's like ridiculous. It's like, why would you put the alarm box all the way up there? So I'm going up to the stairs one day, and all of a sudden, I am not kidding you, man, I heard like somebody took a pair of drumsticks and threw them on the hardwood floor, because they have a hardwood floor kind of like the Sundance does, that hardwood floor. And I stopped, and I'm like going, "Holy shit, man, that was drumsticks." And then I continued to run up before the time was up and disconnected the alarm. But I had gone back out and told my guys, I go, "Dude, you ain't gonna believe this, man, but I heard somebody throw a pair of drumsticks on the floor as I was going up the stairs." So then I went back and told Michael Magulari, and he goes, "Yeah, man, no." He goes, "This place is haunted. It's totally haunted."
You mentioned Led Zeppelin. It was probably the ghost of John Bonham, John Henry Bonham.
He was giving me a paradiddle.
A pair of diddles. That's awesome.
Well, anyway, that's the whiskey. And then I restored the Egyptian Theater as well, which is owned by the Chinese man, Gram Theater. But that was the first theater that was built in 1924, before the Chinese Gram Theater was built on Hollywood Boulevard, because they outgrew that other theater and they wanted it to be a more hype. And it was more considered the Egyptian Theater was considered more of a silent film theater. It's where Charlie Chaplin actually got his start, and he built into that theater there. That's right across the street from Pantages Theatre, which is very famous, right? And so anyways, yeah, but I finished that one right before I came here, man. I just finished that thing. Netflix put all the money up for it and paid me a really good chunk of money to restore it. So it's back up and running. But what a beautiful theater. But I did all that kind of stuff, man. I worked in Charlie Chaplin's original house on Vine Avenue over by the Capitol Records building, you know, and all that stuff. Yeah, man, it's like there's a lot of cool history in LA, but unfortunately they don't know how to restore it. They condemn it mostly, you know, and it's sad because it's not what it used to be anymore. But, you know, hey, man, nothing's forever, right?
Mike Hansen, Mike Dermott, you both spent time in California. What's the difference between the Chicago music scene and the LA music scene? LA is more spread out, so it's hard to, congregate. Like you got you got neighborhoods everywhere, but it's so spread out in LA, it's hard to get that close-knit vibe like Chicago. That's my impression. What do you two Cali
You go first.
livers?
Well, I'm a Bay Area guy, right? So I was in a totally different world. I mean, Northern California and Southern California are two completely different states, man. I mean, they are
Absolutely.
nothing alike. So talk about congestion. We both have it, but the congestion in the San Jose Bay Area, it's a different type of congestion.
Yeah.
From a club perspective, now keep in mind, we're going back to the 80s and early 90s, so it's a totally different scene. I will tell you this, if we look at where music is in Chicago today, everybody's a tribute or a cover band. You don't see that you didn't see it out in Northern California.
No.
If you're lucky, I mean, you may play one or two cover tunes in your set, but if you're not playing original music, you're not getting shows.
No. For
Yeah,
sure.
so that's the way I look at it. And it was really a melting pot. The cool thing about being in the Bay Area in the 80s, we had a lot of stuff going on, right? We didn't have the California glam scene. It was there a little bit, but I was there when thrash was coming out. So I got to see bands like Metallica, Megadeth, Death Angel, all of those bands that were really starting to break that mold, right? They were Testament. Those were the bands that were coming out. You still had your Night Rangers, your YNTs, your Teslas. They were still kind of doing their thing. Journey was still, poking around with whatever they were doing. It was a really, it was different, man. It was, at least from my perspective, it was more of a melting pot of music. Whereas, and I can't speak for the LA scene, but there pretty much was a cut of what LA was like in music, and Mike can talk to that.
Yeah, I mean, LA was like, you had your hair metal bands, which would be like your Motley Crues and your Poisons, and then you had what they called was LA gutter rock. And gutter rock is like your Faster Pussycats and your LA Guns, I call them the black hair people, they're all the guys that look like the Ramones, you know what I mean? And
What was Van Halen then?
They were just straight rock.
Just straight, okay.
Because they came out of the 70s. So they were
78.
considered a straight rock band.
And it's interesting because that's a key point that came out of the 70s. A lot of the bands that I was following in the Bay Area were those types of bands, right? That straight rock. They didn't have that gutter rock, that glam. You still had that straight rock. The 60s and 70s held on for a long time in the Bay Area.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and still does.
It still does. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a little bit more bohemian and hippie up there, as far
Sure,
as
it's always been with San Francisco. Yeah, absolutely.
More free spirit people, a lot more chill. Not a little, but a lot more chill. Just good people, man, and such a beautiful, clean air place to go. It's like Monterey and San Jose.
Oh yeah,
those areas are beautiful.
Once you get past that, though, it gets a little funky, when you get up towards San Francisco. But then you go north of that, and it's beautiful again.
Yeah, San Francisco right now is in worse shape than LA is in.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
I mean, not now after the burn now, but I mean, transients, and it's terrible. But anyways, that's a whole other story. But yeah, LA is not the same as it was. But as far as like music, like I would say like style of music, like West Coast versus Midwest style music, I think the Midwest music in rock and roll was a lot more hardcore, than LA music. LA music is a lot more, more lifting and like, man, you got the Chili Peppers. Every song's about California, man. It's like
it's kind of like Christmas, man. The Midwest was the tree, and LA was all the tinsel that went on the tree.
Oh man, but the bands were just. I don't want to say we were more. I mean, they had an edge, but they had more of a foo-foo edge. I don't know how else to say it. They weren't as like aggressive. Like Midwest and New York bands were heavier. Like more attitude. They had more attitude. That's the word I want to use. But like, Hurricane, we were not, some people try to classify us as a glam rock band. And dude, we're a hard rock, like a rock blues band.
Right.
That's what Hurricane is. Hurricane's a blues band, like Aerosmith is a rock blues band. That's what we are, So they tried to do that a few times, and it's like, dude, that's not what we are. you know. So anyways, but they try to classify, but then you get the bands like Quiet Riot, which is one of the more heavier bands, and that's heavy metal, and by far none. With the cool thing about Quiet Riot was when they did the US Festival, and that was a total, I don't want to say an accident because the universe did it for them, but somebody pulled out of that show, and that's what got them in the bill, playing on the US Festival, and that broke them. That's what made Quiet Riot was the US Festival, and they were the first band ever in history, and still to this day, that broke #1 on the Billboard charts as a heavy metal band. The only band.
And didn't they
helped
do that
rock
with a
and
cover?
roll.
And they did it
Come
with a
on,
cover
feel the
song.
noise.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say they did it with a cover song, right?
Yeah. Come on,
Yeah.
feel the noise. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't even their song.
No.
And at the US Festival, I remember that because I think it was not streamed, it was on MTV, and we all went to my buddy's house and we all
Yeah.
sat down and watched it the entire day. And it was like Scorpions, Van Halen,
the best.
Ozzy, Judas
Yeah.
Priest.
Yep.
I
God
remember
bless. God bless.
Great.
We just lost John Sykes today. So
I know. I just read that.
White
That is
Snake.
horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blue Murder, Thin Lizzy. I mean, yeah. John
White Snake.
Sykes.
He
What
was
an
the reason why
amazing.
White Snake is around, man.
That's
And
exactly
he wrote all
right.
the big hits. And it's interesting because 11 years ago, we were going to do a record, John Sykes, me, and Doug Pennick from King's X. And John had he had to tell us, hey, listen, man, I'm ill, and he told us about his condition, and we promised we wouldn't say anything. So I knew he had cancer, but we lost touch, last, I'd say, good 7 years. I haven't talked to John, but we were going to do a record with me, him, and Doug Pennick from King's X. And boy, just to know what that record would have been like. I mean, to play with John Sykes, dude, I mean, I would have been like in heaven to do that. And then you have Doug's vocals, man. It's just like that would have been a killer album. And but yeah, when he said he couldn't play with anybody, and he never really gave anybody a reason why he didn't play. And that's why a lot of the industry is like, how come John Sykes doesn't play anymore? Everybody thinks he had an attitude and he was conceited. And he could be a little bit arrogant at times, but he's a guitar player, man. I mean, some of the guitar players are like that, not all. But some
Never
can get a
singers,
little-
though. I mean, we're the most grounded people.
Well, you
we've
guys
ever
are
interviewed.
about equal, The only thing is,
Aw, come on,
yeah.
man.
Hey, man, both have weapons, man.
That's
Both have
right. That's right.
weapons.
Well, you got sticks, man. You could throw shit. I can't. I guess I could, but I'm one shot and done. One microphone, I'm over. You could be back. Bing,
Yeah, well, you
bing, bing.
gotta duct tape
freaking
it like
ninja.
Roger Daltrey and then wing it and bring it back.
Yeah, right. My luck, I'd snap it right back into my own
Oh,
head.
man.
So we're not even gonna
But
try
yeah,
that.
but hey, man. So John Sykes, yeah, he lost his battle with cancer.
Yeah, it
But,
sucks.
Yeah, but so, going into that whole thing. So like last week when you were out, I was in Denver for 7 days, and I was recording with Doug Pennick on the new Tribe After Tribe record. And I don't know, Pete, did you guys ever know of Tribe After Tribe back in the late 80s?
I did.
They were MTV, and they were from South Africa. They were like a real primal, like they were pre Jane's Addiction, dude. Jane's Addiction stole so much from this band. And we're friends because a couple of the guys have actually played in this band as well. But Jeff Ament used to be in the band with me from Pearl Jam. He played bass with us, and then when he left, then to go back out with Pearl Jam, then Doug Pennick came in and was his replacement. And Doug's been the one ever since, and the one that we've got the most hype in Europe with. But we were pretty famous in Europe. Like Germany was our #1 place to play. And, in 94, we actually played the Queen's Palace in Amsterdam, and we opened for the Ramones. And that was pretty damn cool, dude. I'm sitting there. I got pictures that somewhere in my books here. I got with me and Didi Ramone eating food in the back and before he passed. And it was really cool to hang out with the Ramones, man. And that was pretty neat. So, and that's when Doug and I first met. And ever since we've been a team. And so this band is more of a culty following band. So look them up. They're called Tribe After Tribe. I sent you some links on it.
Yep.
Very, very artsy, very mastery kind of music. So this new record we did, we had 7 days in Denver at a studio. We slept a night. Matter of fact, I slept in a vocal booth on with a blow-up mattress. I mean, no hotels. We just did it old rock and roll style, man. And we started at 11 o'clock every day and went till like midnight every night. And we ended up in 7 days with probably 3 albums worth of material.
Wow.
Oh. Recording. I mean, it's a lot of playing, man.
That's a lot of playing and a lot of tunes.
Yeah.
Now you know what's crazy is you listen to these stories of Mike, right? So now you know why I lean on Mike. I ask Mike a lot, but it just amazes me, Mike, how humble you are. All the stuff you've done over your career, and every time I ask for advice and support, you do not hesitate, and you always say yes. I mean,
I'm
you're
here
just
for the community.
dude. You're such a good dude. I don't even.
Thank you.
And I know how you're talking about how you put together Kreative Minds. You wanted to find not just really good musicians. You wanted to find good souls, and you certainly did that. I mean, you
Yes.
mentioned Doug. You mentioned the Oliveira brothers, who, by the way, I did coin the name last night. The OGs, right? You got
Yeah,
the
that was
BGs
great.
and you got the OGs. You
I
heard
love
it
it,
here
man.
first.
That's awesome, man.
You just surrounded yourself with amazing people, and it's no wonder you're successful in what you do, right? I mean, you are you are who you are and who you spend your time with, and it
Thank you.
shows, man. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I try to work with, the proper people, and I don't, you just gotta, you're just used to a certain thing, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you start playing with people that teach you that certain thing.
Well,
And
we
then-
also get into a certain age. We've been through enough bullshit. It's kind of like I'm not going to do this again because you know where it's going to end. I can
You
take
already
6
know,
months
yeah.
to figure out it's going to fail, or I'm going to take 6 minutes. Go ain't going to work.
No, dude, I wrote that book. You know what I mean? I wrote that book.
Right, right.
That's right, man. I tell people sometimes about divorce. When I got my divorce, was like a Johnny Depp divorce I had one time, and my last one. I said to people, man, I gave them some advice. I said, you know what that advice is worth? I said, that advice is worth $54,000. I said, that's what it cost me for my fucking lawyer.
Did anybody take a shit on a pillow? Anything like that happen?
No, but I've had like the locking of the doors with the toothbrush outside the door with the pillow, telling me you ain't fucking sleeping in this room, and locking me out of the house where I couldn't even use the bathroom and shit
Nice.
like that. And selling all my clothes on eBay, shit like that. That's why Rockstar Cheater, the Hurricane song, I wrote that song with help, of course, of the band. But I mean, the idea and the conceptualness came from me and the lyrics. It's about my divorce.
We'll have to get that video on here, Rockstar Cheater. If we didn't get it to P, let's make sure we get it on there.
Right up here.
He's already on it.
Yeah. he'll have it running, baby.
Yeah. So, but look, man, all the people that I'm with, that I have in my life right now, I'm really grateful for, including all you guys. I know I just met you, Pete, but I know you're a good soul, and and I haven't.
Good enough.
I've been scoring. Hey, man, listen, man, I've been scoring 100% living here so far in Chicago. So, everybody surrounding me has been great people, and the Coterie thing's been great. I did it in LA too. I supported so much causes in LA, and I always showed up to all these big events. And, I said when I came here, I wanted to do the same thing. I don't want to be one of those guys that just doesn't contribute to his town. I mean, this is where I grew up, man.
How did Mike Hansen get involved with Sawtooth?
Yeah, good question.
Sawtooth?
Yeah.
I had, what? It's funny because my last company that I was with was Pearl for 18 years. And that's the company that, when I was at the Pointer Sisters and all those R&B bands, that they pretty much carried me for many years. And, and then one day, man, they had a corporate change, and then they just toilet flushed a bunch of us off the artist list. And for like no reason, not even just a letter that said, by the way, we don't need your business anymore, basically. So I was like, well, fuck that, So I said, I'm not going to be with anybody. So I don't need anybody. I play with who I play with. And you know what? I mean, my drums are on stage no matter what. I can play anybody's drums. You need me more than I need you. So anyway, so I went to Orange County Drums for a few years. My buddies are the ones that developed that company and made it what it is. And they had like Chad Sexton from 311, playing the drums, and then they had Adrian from No Doubt, and they ended up taking a big interest in Taylor Hawkins used to come to the place all the time, and Taylor used to take drum lessons from me back when he was with Alanis Morissette, and he would be like, I'd be like, yeah, what's going on? He goes, yeah, man, I might be joining this new band, man, and I go, yeah, what are they? He goes, they're called the Foo Fighters. I go, who the fuck is the Foo Fighters, man? He's like, it's David Grohl's new band, man. I go, no shit. He goes, yeah. He says, don't say nothing, man, but it might happen. Because he used to hang out at the store all the time in Irvine, California. So anyway, they started making drums for me. Those two drummers, Chad Sexton from 311 and Adrian from No Doubt, invested money in it and then moved it to the next level. And then they started going on tour, and all those drummers started playing, Seven Dust, and all those drummers started playing Orange County Drums. So I had just bought my drums for many years, and I used to do all the hot rod finishes on them. I sprayed all my own kits, and did really cool things. And then one day, Sarzo actually said, hey, man, I got this new company named Sawtooth. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. I don't need to be with anybody, I'm good. He goes, yeah, but we're doing a show, and I need you to play this clinic. I said, all right, cool. So the whole band played this clinic, and we got to meet the owners, and, they were just the coolest people, man. And, I'm like, wow, okay, this is more family driven than it is corporate driven. So that's how I got with Sawtooth. I like them as people, and they don't have a lot to offer. Like DW can make you anything, and Sonar and all these really high boutique companies. It's not a high boutique drum set. They make a very good quality drum set, but you're limited on what they can do for you. You know what I mean? But I'm okay with that, man. I don't need crazy things anymore like I used to with all these weird finishes and things like that. I mean, the next kit that's coming is a red sparkle kit. I want it to look like a 1967, 68, like
Ludwig?
Ludwig sparkle. It's that really nice flake.
Slingerland
That
or
one's coming for the new
Ludwig.
Davey Knowles tour, which we need to get Pete out to come see Davey Knowles.
Absolutely, he would love them. I'm telling you, for three guys, that room is just filled with music. It's amazing what you guys can do. Blows me away.
Thanks. Yeah, you all got to come out, every one of you.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
I mean,
I got a
Mike's
question.
been to a bunch of shows, a few shows.
I've been to a few. I got a question. You've introduced me to some fantastic musicians and really good people here in the Chicagoland area. One guy that always stands out is Jerome Cunningham. I mean, I love Jerome. You have a history with Jerome, and I never really knew. I've kind of heard bits and pieces. Tell me a little bit more about you and Jerome.
So Jerome, I answered an ad when I was 17 years old. It was in whatever the paper, and my mom came down. She goes, hey, I got this. She ripped it out. She goes, hey, there's this band looking for a funk drummer in Elgin. And I'm like, really? So I answered an ad. I went down in the basement, picked up the phone, dialed it, and he picked up and he said, hey, well, come on down to Elgin, and we'll check you out, man. So I walk in and I walk in there and they we all kind of look at each other like, okay, let's see how this goes. So yeah, man. So I got behind the kid and him and his wife Lavelma was singing in the band at the time, and he had just gotten out of the Air Force. About a year before that, he was a military police officer for the Air Force. So in Germany and stuff, he used to stay. As a matter of fact, he's stationed at the same place my dad was when he was in the Air Force. It was kind of weird that those two knew. So, anyways, I joined playing with them, and then I was a pretty white drummer, man, at that time, and they were a funk band. They were like Cool in the Gang. So he kind of took me under his wing, and he's like, "Hey, I'll show you kind of how to do some of these beats." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So drums kind of started showing me like how to do all these like "Oh Sheila," that kind of tune and things like that, and I was like. It was kind of like the Steve Martin thing, with the feet and the hands going on that Steve Martin movie.
The Jerk?
The Jerk. So it was kind of like
That's
that.
your new nickname,
I'm going,
Mike,
man,
the
I'm
Jerk
white,
Hansen.
man. And he did. He worked with me, and then I got better and better and better. And then I ended up joining another band from this part of town. They were from Aurora, actually, and they were called International City Band in the 80s. And they were like another Cool in the Gang, like Earth, Wind, and Fire band. And I ended up joining that band. That band ended up continuing to go to Las Vegas for a couple weeks to play, which I went out and I ended up meeting a bunch of agents and different people out there. And when I came back, I had this other gig besides I played with Jerome, because Jerome, they were more like, they didn't play that much. There wasn't like a weekend every weekend band though. But the other band I played with was, and that band ended up staying in Vegas, and I came back because I had another band I was in as well here, playing all the Red Lion circuit back in the day. I was doing, and I did like in St. Charles, Pheasant Run. I used to play Pheasant Run in Bourbon Square. I used to play in that show area right there, wearing my tuxedo and playing all my shit, And anyways, so my sub drummer took my gig. He ended up the leader of the band goes, "Look, dude, you don't have a gig anymore." I go, "Huh?" He goes, "No, we're going to stay with this guy. We like him better." I'm like, "All right." So the agents that I knew out in Vegas, I called them this was like a day of me getting back from Vegas, 2 days. And I said, "Hey, Lou," he was a manager. And I go, "You ain't going to believe what happened to me. I lost my gig, man." And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, it's good timing because the Pointer Sisters are looking for a drummer." And I said, "Cool." So anyways, that was my meal ticket out of here. But going back to Jerome, if it wasn't for Jerome teaching me how to play funk, R&B, and soul, because I was more of a 50s rock drummer and a country western player from my dad. And I played some fusion and some jazz, but I wasn't a funk drummer, man. And if it wasn't for him, I would have never got that gig.
Wow.
I have a question. Who is your favorite drummer?
Favorite drummer? Well, I got a few. So Stuart Copeland would be my number one from the Police.
Great.
Good pick.
That's my number one. And then, I took lessons from Steve Smith from Journey.
Wow.
I took lessons from him. And, as well. So he was another one of my favorite drummers. And so, of course, Steve Gadd is one of my favorite drummers, 50 Ways to Leave a Lover, Yeah, those are probably my big top ones. But I mean, if you go into like Cozy Powell is another big one. So in my rock influence more, Cozy Powell would be mine. Ansley Dunbar, he would have been another one that I always kind of went after as a drummer. Leonard Hayes was probably one of my all-time favorite drummers, mainly because of his phrasing and where he put things, and his fills were just always
and who Leonard Hayes? That name sounds vaguely familiar. What band did he play in?
Right. Oh, that was TNG.
Oh yes, TNG.
YNT.
Damn right, baby. I have a question for you. Who's your favorite bongo player?
Oh, that's Mike.
Yeah.
Bongo Man. Yeah, that's funny. But going back to Vegas, so check this out. So when I lived in Vegas, I played 4 years in Las Vegas. But I played there in 1987, and 85 is when the mob got busted. That's when the Spilotro brothers, which are from Chicago, got nailed. And basically the Feds shut the mob down. And I came 2 years later, but there was still like, some heat of some of the mob still there when I was there, because I did work for some of them. But that wasn't like a full ram business like it was in, 85, 84, 83. So when I lived there, my roommate ended up being, I don't know if you guys know who Louis Prima is.
Oh yeah,
Louis Prima, no, Louis Prima was a king of the lounges. He was a jump jive singer with Keely Smith. And so Louis Prima's son, I used to live with out there. And then Lena Prima, I still talk to. She comes to the Arcada and plays sometimes. And I've sat in with her big band when they do the big band stuff. You guys haven't seen me play big band yet. So but I can whip all that big band Buddy Rich stuff out too. I just never do it.
I think that was just, are you challenging me to put together a big band Coterie event?
Oh, I don't know about that one, dude. That's a tough one.
I don't know, man. I'm up for the challenge.
I think you should do, what'd be really cool to do is a folk one. Like Gordon Lightfoot, Jim Croce.
I love Jim Croce.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, let's go the real deal.
Right. Well, we definitely have the talent around here. We certainly do.
I think that would be a really good one, is a folk one.
There you go.
Get
Bob
all the
Dylan
good
in there.
Ones. Yeah, Bob Dylan.
Joan Baez.
Yes. That's cool.
Paul and Mary.
There you go.
Yeah.
Puff the Magic Dragon, baby.
Keep your San Francisco music out of here, man.
What's it?
He's like, hell no.
Hey,
Sorry, I
Nashville
didn't mean to cut you off there, Monty.
Oh, that's
Eddie,
funny, man.
So the big band stuff, the Buddy Rich, you got all that stuff in your pocket.
So my one of my teachers out in Vegas, I ended up taking from a couple different teachers. I took my drum lessons started from Chicago, though. I started with the drummer that used to play with Harry James. That's who I got taught from. His name was Lester Merle, which actually Woofy has sat down with him a couple times at the drum show. But he was my teacher when I was a kid. And he's the one that got my reading up and all that good shit, man. He helped me a lot, but he also played with Mad Hatton Transfer, and like he got me all those killer chops like that. And then when I moved to Vegas, then I ended up taking from a guy, Juanita O'Day. She was a famous jazz singer, and she used to open up for the Buddy Rich shows. And this drummer played like Buddy Rich, and he ended up taking me under his wing, and as a young kid living there, and he taught me a lot of really cool things. That I wouldn't know. And then Jimmy Vincent, I took a couple from him, which was Louis Prima. You got to look up Louis Prima. And that drummer, man, he's taught me all that jump jive stuff. Those guys. And I was so young, I was 19, And then these old cats, man, these old Vegas guys were taking me under their wings, man. And I got
to hop to that style.
Yeah,
it's a hop.
I was going to ask a question. I know I'm not sure how much time we have, Pete. I'll try to make this quick.
Just tell me, Pete. I got lots of stories for volume 2.
Keep going. I got nowhere to go.
So Mike, you talk about all these different styles of drumming, right? And I mean, you could say the same for any instrument. I don't care if it's singing, if it's guitar, if it's bass. I would think you get to a certain age when it just becomes really difficult to learn, right? The younger you are, you're a sponge. You're a little more agile. Your attention's there. You can adapt to learning. As you get older, do you find it harder to learn? Because you have room to improve. I mean, every artist, every athlete has room to improve. Do you find that the older you get that it's more challenging to learn?
I'll be honest with you. I have an answer to all that. Because it's funny, because I had talked to Lester Merle. I was in Florida on that tour that you came to see me when I was out with Davey.
Yeah. Down by Tampa.
We were playing in Miami. We were playing at the, oh God, I can't remember the name of the damn place now. But anyhow, I was on the phone with Les, and we were talking about this exact thing. And I said to him, I says, man, Les, it's funny, man. I says, I'm just not playing all those chops like I used to play, and work all that stuff out. He goes, yeah, man. He's a New York guy, so he kind of talks like that old jazz guy. He's like, yeah, man. He said, you got to remember something, Mike. He goes, when you're young, you want it all, and you're like, you want to be the best, and you want to know all that, as much knowledge as you can, and you just want to be like a sponge, like you were saying, and and you want to learn all those cool things, and the things that you think are cool, or your friends or everybody at that time thinks is cool, and they are cool, and it's like you were more about like technique when you're young, building I call it your color palette. And when you get older, he said to me, because I said to him, I said, I'm more about the groove now. I said, I've been more about the groove for the last 10 years of my life. And it's interesting because I'm busier work-wise now playing the way I do now than I did when I was playing all that fancy shit, you know. And so he had told me, he goes, listen, when you're growing up, you know, you're basically learning all these things, and then when you get older, you're still growing. So the answer to your question is we are still growing, but we're growing to refine ourselves. So that's really what I think is happening to when, you know, you start doing all these killer singing songs that you did for years. And obviously sometimes you can't hit the same keys anymore because of, you know, this is a living organism here. But, you know, you're still fighting the fight, but some of it you give up on, but you're not really giving up on it. I think what you're doing is you're just, refining yourself. So all these millions of things that I had, that I learned, all these chops and these single-handed techniques and these fast double bass single foot things and these fast ride things and showy things, you know, you kind of learn, like, it becomes, to me, white noise. You know, if you're going to be a drummer like me, more of a singer-songwriter guy now, I'm more into like the music now. I'm more into the melodies. So when I play, I think, you know, melodically when I play, you know, I'm listening to the guitar players and the bass player and the singer and where everybody's putting it. And, you know, and I'm not all about like, well, no, I got to fit that double bass pattern right here because I want to. You know, you don't do those things, you know, when you start playing for like real songwriters. You know, you wanna bring life to their songs. You wanna, you know, it's not about you anymore. You know, it's about the song, you know, and the artist that you're performing for, that they've hired you for to play their songs correctly. So that's kind of what I've done. So I've refined myself to like, and recording is probably the best thing you could do for yourselves is record yourself. Videos like this show, you know, I mean, I don't know if anybody got a full length video of the whole show, but it'd be kind of nice to kind of look back at it. And then, you know, you kind of just, you know, whoever wants to watch it, but for whatever reason. But, you know, I always like to critique myself and like see what I did and what I shouldn't do. Still, I always do that. But, you know, when a musician comes and sees another
The
musician,
internet will critique you. Don't worry.
right? You don't worry. So what happens is I think when it comes down to it, you know, you get these musicians in a room and they watch you, and sometimes they're like, wow, how come he can just execute? He's so dominating. And so like you see these players that every note counts and everything is so like right. Well, the reason why is because they record themselves, and most of them have a lot of records out. And the best thing to do is record yourself and listen to yourself right after you record yourself. And I'm going to tell you what, man, there's so many fills that I've done in my life that I always thought they were cool. And then when I started doing records, you know, 30 years ago, you know, I started listening to some of the things that I was doing, and I'm going, that really sucks. And I'm going, I don't even know, why am I even doing that, Phil? You know, it's like, but mentally you're thinking that's cool. But then when you hear it back, you're going, that doesn't resonate at all. So what happens is I think once you get it down to a small little square, you become more powerful as an individual musician, whatever instrument you're playing, you know, because you've learned to take something and refine it into something much smaller that's more powerful than having a million things. And that's basically what I did to my career. I just
Refining
don't
the
play all that-
palette,
Pardon me?
right? Refining the palette.
Yeah,
right?
man.
Ma-
You know, I think
making
it's
it
important.
tasteful.
What about you, Pete? I mean, you said you're a bass player.
They call me Root Note Pete. You give me any tab, I will learn it. But you throw musical theory at me. I've gotten many dirty looks from a drummer in my day, but it's more for me. It's more of a challenge. You know, if you can learn 30 songs, go up in front of a stage, you know, with a house full of people, you know, to me that's my marathon. You know what I mean? So, and then it got me into this podcast. This used to be Heart of Glass. We used to be a Blondie tribute band. Broke
Oh,
up
okay.
as bands do. So I didn't want to get rid of all the followers, so we turned it into HOGPOD, and that's kind of where we're at now. And we
I
got
love
this
it.
music scene, and I love drummers. I think you guys are great, almost as much as I love lead singers, and of course percussionists. Question for you, Mike Hansen: are percussionists, are they like the chiropractor of the medical field?
Well, it's better than repercussion, right?
Doctors of osteopathic medicine. They're DOs. They're not MDs.
Yeah, come here, man. Let me give you the proctologist test.
Moon River.
Yeah, let me see if you can hit a note. F for love. You know? No, but you know what? I mean, a percussionist is definitely different than just, percussionist is somebody who's accomplished more than just one instrument in the field of drums, and things like that. I mean, I took all the marching band, I did the symphony stuff. In my summers, I used to play with the Chicago Philharmonic in the summer, when I was a kid. My mom and dad used to always drive me down there, and I used to play it. What's the name of that place, man? It's still there. It's a theater, very famous theater, old one.
Copernicus.
Well, anyways, I used to go play there with the Chicago Philharmonic.
Avalon.
But that's a percussion player. So I played timpanis, I played marimbas, I marched in the marching band for fucking 5 years, whatever.
Wow.
I did all that shit, man.
Got your chops, man.
Yeah.
You got a picture with one of those hats on? You got a picture?
You have a picture with one of those, like,
I
Fraser
had one-
Thomas hats?
Well, I went to Crown. So I went.
That's right.
I was an Imperial when I went there. So I had the Viking hat with the spike on the top.
Oh, you went to Crown, so you didn't wear the hat. You wore the bulletproof vest.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, I heard the school's worse now.
It's pretty bad from what I understand.
And then I went to Jacobs for my last 2 years, and that was just like these yellow and brown, whatever. But we had cool shit. At Crown was like a really cool outfits for marching, But yeah, man, that school was top 5 in the nation, man. I marched for President Reagan's inaugural.
Oh, cool.
Wow. Hey, you just brought that right to today. Today's inauguration day. Wow.
Wow.
Full circle.
Boom.
This is how the real news works, right?
Yeah. You don't like the news? Make it.
That's it, man.
Hey, do you guys mind if I throw something out there?
Absolutely,
Go ahead, Dan.
I had a friend who went to Oakland College, and Les DeMerle used to teach the jazz section over there. Long story short, Les used to play at the the Flame at Countryside every Friday night back in like the late 80s, and I used to go out and see Les DeMerle all the time.
Wow.
Back in like
Awesome.
87, 88, and he was playing till like 4 in the morning. It was a 4 a.m. bar. And we were there all the time. I don't know. I was probably like 21, 22, and it was good times watching Les.
Yes.
I even had a Les DeMerle shirt. I don't know what happened to it, but it's
Really?
fun. Yeah.
It probably doesn't fit anymore.
No, I don't know what happened to it, but it was so good to see Les at the last drum show I went to. He was there, and I was like, "Whoa!" And he's such a personable guy, very approachable.
He's one of the greatest guys who's ever
Very
been.
nice.
Man. Him and his wife Bonnie. She's Portuguese.
Yeah.
And she sings in his jazz band with them. They play the boats and the ships, all those cruise ships and stuff, with their 12-piece big band.
Nice.
Wow.
And and Les is a great drummer. He's like one of the real ones, man, that are left in the world. There's not many that play that style like him.
Can we get Les on with you?
Oh, that would be cool.
Oh, I could get Les on, no problem.
Yeah, why don't we get Les and Mike Hansen on here?
That would be
Yeah.
Your show.
You'll like Les, man. He's so great, man. He's a great human, man.
We need more Les.
Traditional grip, right?
correct. Yes.
Les plays traditional grip. Yeah.
Yeah.
I play both grips. I do both.
I had a question for Dan and Brian. Are you guys musicians at all? Do either one of you guys play any instruments? I know Brian's a dancer. I know
Brian's
that.
a professional dancer. Yes.
I would have loved to play an instrument. That would have been so great. I would have probably prefer that. But
What would you have played if you could, Brian? What would you have played?
I would play bass. I love bass. It's my.
You look
favorite.
like a bass player. You got a bass player's look about you.
Yeah,
How about you, Dan?
Mike, I got a 13-piece kit from the Neil Peart influence in my basement. I've had since I've been 15.
Do you still play?
Very rarely, but yeah, it's set up, and I just go out and play a little bit.
Nice.
All my heads are 35 years old, so they sound.
Oh, the
terrible.
vintage heads. Yeah.
We got to change those.
You gotta whip out the brushes, man. Don't break them.
I got the brush. I do love playing, and I live alone, so I can play at 4 a.m, which is fun.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Did Neil Peart have too many fucking drums?
Not enough.
Sacrilegious,
why
I know.
people have all these drums is because so they don't miss.
That's like asking Ingve if he had too many scales.
You know? Well, you know, when you get all the drums and you're each tom is so close to each other, you know, I mean, how the fuck can you miss? You know what I
Right.
mean? I go, that's a lazy way to play drums, I tell them. I said, give some distance, man. You got a rack tom here and a four tom here. Get some air in between there.
Plus, you get more flexibility when you're reaching around, right? What's this tight
No, reach
shit, man?
around
Loosen that
all the way
stuff up.
around.
You need
Reach
just
all the way
remember.
around.
one big rectangle.
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah, you
All
guys-
right, boys,
I gotta
let's
get
make the
get
call.
you guys one of these.
Oh,
Oh, I love that.
Oh,
These are the new
nice.
stickers.
I like it.
I got the T-shirts like that too. They're
I
all
got it.
1970s
I did
retro
get acoustic. And, you know, hey, let's give another plug to Michael Overa. Where did you get the design for that?
Well, I told him what I wanted. I said, I think Scooby-Doo.
That's right.
And he did it.
The Mystery Machine.
Michael
That's what-
Oliveira
that's the
is
Scooby-Doo
he is
thing.
one of the most talented guys I know. He's a smooth dresser too. Whatever shirt he was wearing yesterday at the Coterie event, Debbie told him she liked it. Today she goes, reach out to Mike and find out where he got that shirt. I want you to get one.
Oh, that's cool though. Hey, what the hell?
That's
You know,
right,
just
man.
don't wear them on the same day.
Yeah, you got to
I'll
call
call
each
him.
other. Make
That's
sure
right.
you're not wearing it.
What are you wearing? Here's what I'm wearing.
But yeah, you know, but if you guys want to, you know, anybody wants to check out Kreative Minds, you know, here, I mean, they just go to creativemindsacoustic.com
Yep.
is where they go.
CreativeMindsAcoustic.com.
Yeah, acoustic.com. Yeah, we had to do it that way for, you know, there was a million creative minds, man. Let me tell you.
Right. So
we
we've
had
got Mike Hansen on drums, Doug Schoenbeck on guitar, Frank
Yes.
Oliveira on bass and vocals, and then Michael Oliveira on vocals. And he does play a little guitar. I know
Yeah,
he bangs
he
the
started
tambourine.
to incorporate the guitar into it. We kind of wanted to get everything kind of going first, and it's great. Finally, you guys got to see it because you didn't get to see the last show.
No, I was out
So
of
you
town.
got a little taste of us, which was
Yep.
good.
And I
So,
want to thank you guys for doing that, right? I
man,
really
we loved every
appreciate you
minute of
giving
it.
a little break in the day. That was
Hey,
awesome.
anytime I can hit the gong, man.
I loved every minute of it too, guys. It was so fun.
That was great.
that's
I
why you
agree.
guys are super fans. All right,
That's
boys,
right.
let's make the
All
call. Ohio
Let's make-
State or Notre Dame?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Any
Notre
Ohio
Dame.
States?
I don't know. Well,
Ohio State right here.
Really?
Yeah, there you go. Boom.
You're a contrarian.
You know how you
Yeah,
can tell?
I think Notre Dame's going to take it.
All right. You know how you can tell if somebody went to Notre Dame?
No,
They'll tell you.
it's true. It's true though.
Mike Hansen, Kreative Minds. Thank you so
Thank you,
much for
guys.
coming on, brother. Mikey
Thank you,
Dermont, Mikey Bongo, Superfan Brian, Superfan Dan.
thank you,
Everybody.
gentlemen.
Thank
It'll
you so
be on
much.
the 9th, Mike. We're looking forward to it.
Great
Yeah,
job,
Have
boys.
a great evening. Have a great week. Stay warm.
Thanks,
Thank
Mike
you, guys.
Hansen, for everything. Great stuff.
Thank you, guys.
I think we broke the internet. Congrats.
Okay.